September 17th, 1862, started like an ordinary morning in rural Maryland. By sunset, 23,000 American soldiers had been killed, wounded, or listed as missing. That didn't happen over a month or even a week. It happened in roughly 12 hours. To understand how two massive armies collided in such a short window, we have to look at the Confederate commander, General Robert E. Lee. He decided to take the fight north. A major victory on Union soil might crush Northern support for the war and convince European powers to recognize the Confederacy. But before the battle even started, the Union Army caught a massive break. Union soldiers stumbled upon a misplaced copy of Lee's exact operational orders. This chart shows exactly what those orders revealed. Lee's army was split up. For the Union commander, George McClellan, this was a rare opportunity. If he moved fast enough, he could catch the Confederate forces before they fully reunited and attack them one by one. The window was rapidly closing. Both armies began a frantic race, concentrating their forces near a small Maryland town called Sharpsburg, right along the banks of Antietam Creek. The leaked intelligence meant a massive battle was entirely unavoidable. By the morning of September 17th, the armies were locked in place, setting a ticking clock for a brutally condensed collision. Just after dawn, at 5:30 in the morning, Union forces launched their first assault into a farm field filled with tall corn. Standing inside it, visibility dropped to almost zero. Imagine pushing through those stalks. Suddenly, you break through the rows, and thousands of opposing soldiers are standing at point-blank range. Rifles fire. Men charge forward, get pushed back, and charge again. From the ridges, heavy artillery shook the ground, firing down into the fighting. The attacks and counterattacks around this single cornfield continued for hours, turning the farmland into a meat grinder. This diagram shows the next major obstacle the fighting shifted toward by midday: a sunken farm road. Decades of wagon traffic had worn the dirt path down, creating a natural trench that gave Confederate defenders excellent cover. Union troops attacked that position repeatedly. Because the terrain funneled men into such a tight, exposed space, the road became a horrific bottleneck of casualties. It would later be remembered simply as Bloody Lane. With thick smoke covering the fields, orders became almost impossible to hear. The battle evolved into a self-sustaining machine, grinding forward on its own momentum while officers struggled to comprehend what was happening. Moving farther south into the afternoon, Union General Ambrose Burnside's troops faced a final major obstacle: a narrow stone bridge crossing Antietam Creek. This graphic shows the crossing's tactical nightmare. The bridge formed a severe choke point. Union troops funneled into a tight column under concentrated fire from the heights. Eventually, forcing their way across, they broke the defensive line, threatening to collapse Lee's right flank. But a massive contingency variable arrived right at that moment. Confederate General A.P. Hill's division had been marching roughly 15 miles from Harper's Ferry to reach the battlefield. Exhausted from the rapid march, Hill's soldiers deployed immediately and slammed into the advancing Union lines. The sudden counterattack drove the Union forces back down the slopes. That timely arrival saved the Confederate Army from total destruction. As the 12th hour of fighting ended, neither side secured a clean tactical victory. The armies were left locked in a bloody stalemate. This chart shows the human cost when the guns finally stopped. Union forces suffered roughly 12,400 casualties. The Confederates took about 10,320. In total, nearly 23,000 men were killed, wounded, or missing. Soon after, Matthew Brady's photography team arrived and made a highly unusual decision. They set up their cameras and photographed the unburied dead right on the battlefield. When these images were exhibited publicly in New York, they stripped away the sanitized, romantic ideas of combat. Civilians who had only read about military tactics in the newspaper were suddenly staring directly at ruined bodies in the grass. Militarily, Lee's invasion of Maryland failed, forcing him to retreat back across the Potomac. For President Abraham Lincoln, that retreat provided the political momentum he desperately needed. 5 days after the battle, Lincoln issued the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation. It declared that all enslaved people in rebelling territories would be freed, officially shifting the objective of the war from merely preserving the Union to actively destroying the institution of slavery. Today, the fields around Antietam Creek are quiet. The tall grass and old stone monuments look entirely peaceful. But those fields hold the memory of September 17, 1862. 12 hours of extreme violence ended a deadly Northern invasion, exposed the American public to the true horror of combat, and gave Abraham Lincoln the opening to permanently redefine the moral purpose of the United States.